My name is Rachel Bennett. I'm 40 years old, and 20 years ago, on the same night I gave birth to my daughter, I was told my husband had died in a plane crash. For 2 decades, I believed he was gone forever. But last Friday, my daughter came home looking completely shaken. She stood in the doorway staring at me and said something that made my entire world stop. "Mom, today I met my dad, and what she showed me next destroyed everything I thought I knew about my life." Before I tell you what really happened, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me your country in the comments. I always read them. Now, let me take you back 20 years. That night was supposed to be the happiest night of my life. I was lying in a hospital bed, holding my stomach, waiting for my daughter to be born. My husband was on a business trip, but he had promised he would make it back in time. "I'll be there before she arrives," he told me on the phone earlier that day. I believed him. Throughout the evening, I kept checking my phone again and again, waiting for another message or call. But instead, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. At first, I almost ignored it. I thought it might just be a wrong number or some random call. But something inside me told me to answer. And honestly, I wish I hadn't. The voice on the other end sounded calm. Too calm. "Ma'am," the man said carefully, "we're calling regarding your husband." The moment he said those words, my heart dropped. There has been an accident. Everything after that felt unreal. They told me the plane had crashed. They told me there were no survivors. They told me my husband was gone. I don't remember when I started crying. I don't remember what I said. All I remember is the overwhelming feeling that something inside my chest had just been ripped away. And before I could even process the news, the pain started. Real pain. Suddenly, doctors rushed into the room. Nurses surrounded me as voices filled the air. The hospital lights moved above me as they rushed my bed down the hallway. I was screaming, crying, shaking, not only because of the pain, but because in that exact moment, I was losing my husband and bringing our daughter into the world. When it was finally over, everything became quiet. Too quiet. A nurse gently placed my daughter into my arms. She was so small, so fragile, so perfect. Tears were still running down my face as I looked at her. I didn't know whether I should smile or completely break down, because the man who was supposed to be standing beside me, holding my hand during that moment, was gone. Just like that. The next few days passed like a blur. People kept coming to the hospital. Friends, relatives, neighbors. Everyone said the same things. "I'm so sorry. He's in a better place. You have to stay strong for your daughter." But none of those words helped, because no one understood what it felt like to lose someone before you even had the chance to say goodbye. They never found his body. The crash had been too severe. Too much fire. Too much destruction. Nothing remained. At first, that gave me a small piece of hope. A tiny, foolish hope that maybe, somehow, there had been a mistake. But days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And eventually that hope faded away. Life didn't stop. It never does. I had a newborn baby in my arms, and no one else to rely on. So I did what I had to do. I raised her alone. Those first few years were the hardest time of my life. Sleepless nights. Endless worries. Trying to be strong when I felt completely broken inside. There were moments when I didn't think I could do it anymore. Moments when I just sat on the floor, holding my daughter, while silently crying so I wouldn't wake her up. But crying didn't feed a child. So I started working. Anything I could find. I gave private lessons to kids in the neighborhood. I worked small daytime jobs. Sometimes I even stitched clothes late at night, just to earn a little extra money. There were days I was so exhausted I could barely stand. But I never stopped, because she needed me. I stopped thinking about my own life. I stopped thinking about happiness. People told me I should remarry. They said I was still young. They said I deserved another chance at love. But I couldn't do it, because my entire world was already in my arms. So every time, I chose my daughter. There were months when I didn't buy anything for myself. No new clothes. No small comforts. Nothing. I wore the same outfits again and again. But I made sure my daughter never felt like she lacked anything. Her books were always ready for school. Her fees were always paid. Everything she needed always came first. One day when she was little, she asked me something that broke my heart. "Mom, why don't you buy new dresses like other moms?" I simply smiled and told her, "Because I already have everything I need." And the truth was, I did. Because every time I looked at her, I found another reason to keep moving forward. She had his eyes, the exact same eyes. Sometimes when she smiled, it felt like a small part of him was still here with us. And that feeling was enough. Years passed. My little girl grew up. From a child who held my hand everywhere into a young woman with her own dreams. She had just started college, recently. She was smart, kind, strong. Everything I had hoped she would become. And during all those years, I never told her the full story about that night. I only told her the simple truth, that her father died in a plane crash before she was born. And for 20 years, that truth never changed. Until last Friday. That afternoon started like any other normal day. I was at home finishing some work when I heard the front door open. My daughter walked inside, but something felt different. She didn't look scared. She didn't look sad. She looked shocked. "Mom," she said quietly. Her voice didn't sound normal. I turned toward her. "What happened?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she slowly walked closer while tightly holding her phone. "Mom," she said again softly. "Today, I met someone." I frowned slightly. "Who?" She looked directly into my eyes. And then she said something that made my entire body go cold. "I met my dad." For a moment, my mind completely stopped. "What?" I whispered. She didn't say anything else. Instead, she unlocked her phone and showed me a picture. The moment I saw it, everything inside me froze. My hands went numb. My breathing stopped, because the man in that picture was not a stranger. I knew that face. I had loved that face. I had mourned that face for 20 years. And yet, there he was, alive, looking straight into the camera. I slowly lowered the phone, my hands shaking. "That's not possible," I said. My daughter looked at me, nervously. "That's him, Mom," she said softly. "I talked to him. He knew things about you about me." I shook my head slowly. "No, that's not possible. Your father died 20 years ago. I was told that. I lived through it." She stepped closer. "I know what you were told," she said. "But what if it wasn't true?" That question hit something deep inside me. For a moment, something inside my heart reacted. But I pushed it away. "No," I said firmly. "There's a mistake. Someone is lying to you." She didn't argue. She just said quietly, "He asked to meet you." I froze. "What?" "He said you wouldn't believe it unless you saw him yourself. He said you deserve answers." Answers. That word stayed in the air between us. Part of me wanted to refuse immediately, but another part of me needed to know the truth. After a long silence, I finally spoke. "Fine." Her eyes lit up slightly. "But he comes here," I added, "and we talk." That's it. That evening, the house felt different, heavier, like the walls themselves were waiting. I sat in the living room with my hands resting in my lap, trying to stay calm. But memories kept returning. His smile, his voice, the way he used to look at me. I had spent 20 years convincing myself he was gone. And now, I was about to see him again. Then there was a knock on the door. My heart skipped. My daughter looked at me. I simply nodded. She walked to the door and opened it. And then, He walked inside. Time stopped. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stared at him. He looked older now. Lines on his face. A heavier posture. But it was him. Without a doubt. After 20 years, it was him. "Hannah," he said softly. But before he could say anything else, there was another knock on the door. A woman stepped inside. She looked straight at him. Then she said something that changed everything. "You didn't tell them the truth, did you?"